Meeting to order, and ask Nicole to take roll call, please.
Bodie,
Here.
Cacciatore,
Here.
Carberry Montgomery,
Here.
Kroll,
Here.
Rosendahl.
Here. All right, if you please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we pause to orient ourselves to the kind of civic life we are here to practice. Civility, as we understand it, is not politeness, etiquette, or agreement. It's an inner disposition rooted in recognizing the equal human dignity of every person present, including those with whom we sharply disagree. Each of us is responsible for how we speak, how we listen, and how we conduct ourselves. We're not responsible for controlling one another's views, reactions, or conclusions. This space belongs to all of us. We will speak honestly, refrain from demeaning or coercing one another, and remain present even when the conversation is difficult. By holding one another in view as persons rather than obstacles, we sustain the trust that makes shared civic life possible in Urbandale tonight and beyond. And I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Bodie. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And we do have a couple special presentations tonight. First is a proclamation for Juneteenth. Whereas Juneteenth, also known as Emancipation Day or Freedom Day, commemorates the historic moment on June 19, 1865, when Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, to announce the end of slavery and the enforcement of the Emancipation Proclamation. And whereas Juneteenth is a day of reflection, celebration, and remembrance, recognizing the resilience, strength, and enduring contributions of African Americans to our community, state, and our nation. Whereas Juneteenth serves as a reminder of the ongoing journey toward equality and justice for all, inspiring us to work collectively to eliminate racial injustice and inequality in our society. And whereas it's important to acknowledge the significance of Juneteenth in our nation's history and to honor the contributions of African Americans in the face of adversity. Now therefore, I, Robert Andeweg, Mayor of Urbandale, do hereby proclaim June 19, 2026 as Juneteenth in Urbandale, Iowa. I call upon all residents, businesses, schools, and community organizations to observe Juneteenth with events and activities that promote education, reflection, and unity. Let us use this day to renew our commitment to creating a society that values diversity and equality for all. And I'd like to recognize Dwana Bradley from the Juneteenth. Dwana, do you want to come up here and accept the proclamation?
Well, Mayor, to the rest of the council, on behalf of Des Moines Urban Experience and Iowa Juneteenth, we want to thank you for this proclamation, for your continued support of this work. We are grateful for all of the partnerships and resources and opportunities to help us bring together to celebrate history, culture, and community. As we celebrate Iowa Juneteenth, now in its 36th year, we are reminded that Juneteenth is ultimately a celebration of freedom, freedom earned through sacrifice, perseverance, and hope. It is an opportunity to reflect on our past while committing ourselves to building a better future. I would also challenge each of us to continue showing up in meaningful ways, continue listening, continue volunteering, continue engaging with communities that have experiences different from your own. Sometimes just your presence speaks volumes to communities that always feel seen and heard. While you may not always fully understand every celebration, tradition, or cultural experience, I encourage you to remember that at the heart of Juneteenth, it is a celebration of freedom, dignity, and the belief that every person deserves to be valued and respected. As you sit at your table and make decisions that will impact your residents. I encourage you to continue considering how those decisions affect all people and all communities. When people feel seen, when they feel heard, and when they feel valued, stronger communities are built for everyone. Thank you again for this proclamation, for your support, and your commitment for serving the citizens of Urbandale, Iowa. Thank you.
Thank you, Duana. Appreciate it.
She's just great.
All right, next we have a presentation from Catch Des Moines, and I have Trina Flack and Shannon Winters here. So Trina, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Your Honor, Council. Thanks for having me. I have Shannon with me tonight. She's an Urbandale resident, so direct all complaints to her. So I'm just gonna
She usually addresses them to me, so that's.
Well, yeah, actually, first we'll. I'm just going to take a few minutes to kind of go over a reminder of who we are, how we're funded, the work we do, and then a few things to look forward to as we go too. So who we are, just a reminder that we're the Convention and Visitors Bureau for the region. So the whole reason we exist is to increase visitors to this community, and that's through meetings, events, sports, and leisure travelers. So how we're funded, every time someone stays in a hotel room in the greater Des Moines area, they pay a 7% occupancy tax. Catch Des Moines receives 25% of that. In most communities, Bravo receives 25% of that. And then the remainder, that 50%, stays within each individual community. So as we grow those visitors, we're not only impacting our bottom line, but we're also supporting the communities that support us. These are numbers from the state of Iowa. So over $11 billion was spent on travel in this past year, and more than $3 billion of that took place right here in Polk and Dallas County. So a significant amount that impacts our taxpayers and our community, and a lot of that from the state comes right here into our communities. Just a snapshot of who we represent. Our board of directors, mayor sits on our board, so thank you for your service as part of that too. Each community we represent has a seat, plus industry and community leaders. This year, our chair is Greg Hudson from West Des Moines. Our budget this year is about $7 million. Super proud of this number and how we use those dollars. 85% of that goes directly back into attracting that next visitor. So everything we're doing is consistently looking at how we support and how we grow that future of tourism. I point this out because I think it's a really important number to that budget, and it'll kind of show as we look at the rest of what we're doing. In an average year, $1 million to $1.5 million of that $7 million budget goes into bid incentives, and that's everything from paying rental at the convention center, offsetting the cost of soccer fields for a sports tournament. It's paying for officials or staff rooms, or even just a sponsorship. So even though we'd like to think that everything we do is because we're such a great community and we shine here, the reality is it's a super competitive nature in how we land that business. And so it's really important that we're strong in those bid incentives and what we go after too. A couple highlights from this past year. National Speech and Debate hosted their an anniversary year, so we were able to host them in 2024 and 2025. June of last year would have been that last time. They contracted 58 hotels in this metro area, so they brought 10,000 students for an entire week in June. Used schools in Waukee, Des Moines, the Iowa Event Center. I mean, it's truly one of those that if we don't have our entire community working together and we aren't strong in how we bid on something, have really good catch champions, events like this don't happen. So that's a big win from the last year. We're in the works of announcing that, or looking at those future years with National Speech and Debate too, trying to get on a rotation with them. Yeah. We were also lucky enough to bring in the National Senior Games. So that's 26 sports in 28 venues all across this community. So they truly used sporting venues in every single one of the cities that we represent. 15,000 adults over 50. So I feel like that senior tag is a little bit, I don't know, maybe not the correct definition of these athletes, yeah. But these were people that, have above average income. They travel with potentially a significant other. They spend a whole week by choice in this community. And we saw such strong occupancy for them last year as well. Another one that as we kind of look, they don't repeat a city very often, but we're already in those conversations of a future year. So really strong, take the metro to work together. So that's just part of our audience. We really spend our days looking at meeting planners, sports planners, those individual travelers, and then our community, our locals, as part of the audiences that we target and represent. I won't read this, but how we bring in that business, trade shows, we have an office or a P.O. box in Washington, D.C., because that's kind of where we're at. We do co-op events with other cities that are like ours to try and work together with those dollars and audiences. Membership in all the industry associations. We bring people in to show them our community when we're at that level within a bid. We host a customer advisory board, which is that group of leaders that tells us all the good things and what we can do with our community. And then Catch Champions is another focus. So anybody in this community that raises their hand and says, I sit on a board, I'm part of an organization, you should consider. Our sales efforts are extremely strong when we have a local involved, and so we really take a lot of value in that. Marketing, I really can't read this one because I don't understand what half of it means, but essentially I put all these words on this slide to tell you that we work with our local agency, Flynn Wright, to create really good content and then target how we use those dollars and make sure that as we drop those pixels with the ads that they're getting retargeted to and meeting people where they're at. So whether that's connected TV or you're seeing it on a billboard, many of you have probably seen commercials already this spring from Missouri or Illinois or Omaha. We're doing that in all the markets too. So you may not see the majority of our advertising. It's because we're spending those dollars in our drive markets too. The marketing team also creates the content of our annual visitors guide, which is in every hotel room. All those best blogs and events calendars and everything that is that visitor facing comes out of our office. You know when you travel that you want to experience a community like those locals. You want to know what that best of is. So we're curating all of those lists throughout the region and making those weekends and weeks attractive to our visitors. I throw this in here. Our Ironman contract has ended, but I think it's a really good snapshot of how all the pieces work together. And, that top left picture is us visiting Ironman Arizona with police and fire and meeting one-on-one to make sure we're creating the safest events possible that makes sense in our community, event execution, and then all of that signage. When you come into an event in a city, you want to feel special, right? You want that community to know that we're here. So we're looking at not only that sales process and making it work and be executed here, but we're also thinking about that event experience and whether that be airport signage, street pole banners, hotel clings and signage, making sure our visitors have that most amazing experience here in the community. Snapshot of a few things that are coming up this year. This is just a few of the things that we're hosting. Last month we hosted the National High School Mock Trial Tournament in cooperation. It was really because we have Catch Champions at the Iowa State Bar Association, but that brought in about 1,500 students to practice here. Fun fact that it was that first tournament, it originated here in Des Moines, so that's exciting. Obviously, Principal Charity Classic was a huge success last week. We also hosted USU Soccer President's Cup. That was 96 teams in Grimes. That event we'd lost multiple times, but because the Highview Multiplex was developed in Grimes, all of those fields could be used in one location. 96 teams don't all stay in Grimes, right? So I can pretty much guarantee that Urbandale saw an impact of that. And I think it just goes to show the development and how all the communities work together and impact off of what each other is creating. As we look at the rest of the month, we're hosting the USA Racquetball Junior Championships is a good one. And then our big one at the end of the summer is AAU Junior Olympics. So here's my shout out to you to volunteer. If you have any free time in your schedule. It is one of the biggest events that we host, and we've hosted it on a rotation since the 2000s. 15,000 athletes using Drake Stadium, the Recplex in West Des Moines, the pool downtown, the Highview Multiplex in Grimes as those main facilities, but they'll be here for 10 days. And our hotels see about the highest occupancy ever with that event. So as we look ahead, these are just a few things that are contracted or definite for future years. I'll point out a couple. We've talked about the USA Triathlon National Championship. So we've got a long-term partnership with them, 2027 and 28. And then they'll go back to Milwaukee for 29 and 30, and then we'll host them again on this rotation. The Iowa Air Show featuring the Blue Angels will take place in May of 2027. So that'll be at the airport. We anticipate 50,000 plus people a day to watch that show, big numbers. Everybody loves to talk about NCAA men's basketball. 2028 is our next opportunity for them. And then a handful of other professional association and religious groups. So really looking at targeting kind of all the markets and filling the calendar too. That's all I got. Any questions for me?
When is the AAU Junior Olympics?
July 28th through August 8th.
Okay.
Trini, I think we've always talked about return on investment. So, I mean, do you have a number as far as what kind of a bounce do we have of return on investment for what we spend in the region?
It's like 25 to 1.
Yeah.
Don't quote me specifically on that number, but it really is kind of right in that
Yeah.
range. I can pull it, but yeah, it's huge. I mean, for every dollar that we put in gets reinvested, and it supports, I mean, you know this, right? A visitor stays in our hotel rooms, but they also shop in our stores, and they eat in our restaurants, and they visit our attractions, and kind of that circular effect of the impact that they have on our community is huge.
Yeah. I can just say, thanks, Trina. We really appreciate this. I've served on this board now for over 20 years now as mayor. So I think I am the longest one. I think. Right?
That's why you get the Distinguished Leadership Award, right? Through Lead DSM. They just announced that.
Oh, thank you. But in all seriousness, I mean, I've seen this organization through a lot of ups and downs. It's been cyclical. I was on it during the Great Recession of the late 2000s. I was on it during COVID, and this organization has pivoted and come back stronger every time, and really fights above its weight, and really we can see the effect of this if we look at our hotel motel dollars as far as what comes in. Everything that this does, comes back directly to Urbandale and benefits Urbandale. So, yeah. Trina, thank you for you and your leadership and the organization for everything it does for our community.
Thank you guys for your support. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, we will move on then to public forum. This is the opportunity to address something that's not a part of any public hearing that's on tonight's agenda. Would anyone like to address the council at this time? Adam?
Well, after some wonderful presentations about your service, Mayor Andeweg, I think it's worth noting that today you received a very prominent award. The mayor is being honored as the Arthur Davis Community Impact Award from Lead DSM. He's joining a great hall of great servants of our community, and as he said in the announcement, this doesn't come with one act, but years and years of service that was on display tonight during the Catch Des Moines presentation. So I just thought it was worth letting everybody here know tonight and make you even more uncomfortable. So congratulations, it's very well deserved.
You did a good job of that, so thank you. Thank you, Adam. Is there anyone else who would like to talk about anything other than that during public forum? Thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. All right, we'll move on. First of all, to approve the meeting minutes from the June 1 meeting.
So move.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And then the minutes from the Lunch and Learn of June 9, 2026.
So move.
Motion by Bodie.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. The consent agenda has 16 items for approval.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Motion by Kroll.
Second.
Second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. We move on to public hearings. We have one public hearing tonight, is item 7.1, and that is a public hearing to consider the substantial modification to amend the ESA Hotel Planned Unit Development Master Plan at 3940 114th Street. The public notice for this was published in the May 29, 2026 Des Moines Register. Any objections to that? Notice as published.
There were none.
Is there a motion to open this public hearing?
So move.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Rosendahl. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And to introduce this item is our Assistant Community Development Director, Christy Bales. Christy?
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. The one public hearing on for you this evening is about this parcel at 3940 114th Street. We are at the northeast intersection of Douglas Avenue and Interstate 8035 there, but the parcel having frontage onto 114th Street. This will be fairly familiar to you. You saw this about a month ago when we had the public hearing on an amendment to the comprehensive plan, as well as an amendment to the PUD master plan. Since then, and that night, the amendment to the comprehensive plan was approved, and then council directed staff to go back and write the PUD master plan. Because staff had recommended denial, staff had not prepared that PUD master plan that you typically see with projects that defines and lists everything from permitted uses to signage restrictions, to building materials, to landscaping, et cetera, those zoning category typical uses. So staff went back and prepared that PUD master plan, which is what you have here before you this evening for the first reading of an ordinance to approve that substantial modification to the extended stay hotel PUD master plan. The project summary is fairly straightforward. They're looking to convert that existing extended stay hotel to multifamily development, along with an addition, a two-story office addition there on kind of the east side of the project. This is not the site plan before you this evening. Should this get approved, the three readings of the ordinance and that part of it, they would then come back with a site plan showing how they've met the conditions of the PUD master plan, parking lot layout, landscaping, the things you would typically see for the site improvements for that. Along with the multifamily conversion, the supportive housing part of that are office type uses for the residents only of the project. They are not open to everyday users with their project. The Planning and Zoning Commission had their hearing on this last week on Monday. They did recommend approval subject to one change that I want to highlight. In the list of permitted uses, staff stripped from the original PUD master plan those highway commercial oriented type of uses, took out the restaurants, took out the gas stations, took out the retail, and left a few uses. But the childcare uses has caught a lot of attention. We left that in there. It was allowed to be there before. We left it in there as a permitted use. However, after some conversations at P&Z Commission, one of them being the applicants, like, I don't consider this a future user of their project, and some concerns about with a child care center, it's sort of like a different setting in terms of outdoor play space and uses and that sort of thing. Planning and Zoning recommended approval of the proposed master plan with the exception of that use and having that removed. And you'll see that noted in the staff report that's to you this evening. So in the staff report as well is the proposed language of the amended PUD master plan. I don't plan on going into too much detail. It covers the same categories, the shortened list of permitted uses, the parkland, the size of the dwelling unit, that sort of thing was part of their uses, including the parking reduction. So I don't plan on going to that details. Be happy to answer any questions though, should you have them. That in a nutshell is the project. When this was prepared, we also included not only the prior letters from people for, against in your packet, but also some new ones that we had received. I do have that link to the staff report pulled up should you need me to scroll to any certain page, but we did try to update that so that you have a comprehensive packet as you consider this proposal tonight. Emily Osweiler is here representing the project. There are some people who likely have some questions and concerns still with the project, but Emily is here should you have any questions for her, but I'll take any questions you may have first.
questions for Christie from the council at this point?
Yeah, so for, of course, I lost my spot. For the bulk requirements, number 5, specifically around parking, so zoning administrators shall have the authority to cause the construction of additional vehicular parking if the amount of available parking becomes insufficient to meet the needs of the site. Is there any, like, I think, that we had talked about there'd be like a half space parking per dwelling, and there would be, the idea is there's sufficient bike storage for folks that wouldn't have a vehicle on site. Is there any precedent or idea of like also including in that to say if there is not sufficient bike parking or storage, that also could be something that we could ask of the property?
I think that's a question you can ask of Emily. And the reason I say that is we don't have a current bike parking requirement, so I don't have a standard to change for you. But I think that's something that you certainly, I think
Gotcha.
they'll be open to it, but I would ask her that question.
Okay. And for asking for increases in parking, what kind of like formula or like how do we deem it necessary to increase the parking on the site?
Usually I'll refer to a case we had that's complaint-based in a couple of ways. Sometimes with conditional use permits, so this is not a conditional use permit, but the Board of Adjustment has included at staff's recommendation a condition that says, if parking becomes a problem, you have to get this solved. And how we found out in one case it was an issue like people were parking on the grass and the next door neighbor. So it would typically be complaint driven. In that case, we gave that situation a couple of times to remedy. It was kind of a scheduling problem because of the events they were hosting. So we gave them a couple of times to remedy before we had them build that extended parking lot. They had it on their site plan, so we knew they could accommodate it. It had been shown as future parking, but we gave them the opportunity to remedy it before we automatically jumped to go pave your parking lot. So I would envision a similar process if we get complaints of people trying to park on the grass or illegally on 114th Street or off on other people's property. I would expect we will hear about it from the Community Development Department and then start those conversations with the owner.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything further for Christie at this time? All right, we are in public hearing on this item. Again, just to note some things, this is a public hearing. We do have standards of participation that have been out, that have been distributed, and if you have any questions on that, but generally, please limit your comments to 5 minutes. If you're speaking on behalf of an organization, if you could, either on either side, please, don't be duplicative of folks they may be wanting to speak, and keep those comments to 5 comments total for anybody that's representative of somebody. I'm going to allow the applicant to make I'll let Emily make a presentation first, and then also allow her to sum up at the end if there's any additional comments she wants to make at the end, since it's a burden of proof for the applicant. So with that, and please just wait till I recognize you, and I'll recognize you, and if you can come up and give your name and address for the record when you're here. So Emily, I'll start with you.
Thank you. My name is Emily Osweiler. I am the CEO of Greater Des Moines Supportive Housing. I live at 9015 Cowden Drive in Johnston. Hello again, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present. We've previously shared detailed information about our model and future plans, as well as support from many Urbandale residents and community leaders. I thought the most efficient use of your time would be to give you a brief update and then open it up for any questions you may have of me or someone from my team. After the City Council meeting on May 5th, I reached out to both neighbors to the site that have been formally opposed to our project, R&R in Berkeley. We did have a productive in-person meeting with 4 R&R leaders where we discussed items that we would be willing to have put into the PUD and or a future development agreement, and have found common ground and true win-wins. I also extended multiple invitations to Berkeley leadership and have respected their decision not to engage further in good neighbor conversations at this time. In parallel, we waited for city staff to complete their drafts and then met with Rose to confirm our understandings of the drafts matched hers. We provided all documentation to demonstrate our commitment to meeting all of the requirements of the PUD. At this point, we're taking the lead from the city on next steps. Last week, we were grateful for unanimous support from the Planning and Zoning Commission. We understand their condition with the childcare. So just to clarify, we didn't ask for that. We have no plans for childcare at the site. Related, we're going to West Des Moines Board of Adjustment on our parking variance request tomorrow night. We're happy to answer any questions now or later.
All right, thank you, Emily. Any questions for Emily at this time from the council?
For the kind of use case that you're talking about with the YMCA that's currently in place, what is is it kind of a similar parking situation where it's like, it's half space basically per unit?
They have 3 parking spaces.
Okay, sounds good.
They don't provide parking for residents.
Oh, okay.
3 parking spaces total.
Yes, for visitors, drop off, other case managers. The staff have a contract with another lot, so they walk to another lot and have a spot there.
Got it, okay. So for terms of like a resident parking, like, that's not, the experience that you've had is that there's not really ever been a resident parking issue?
No. If there were probably, while I was there, 15 to 20 residents that had cars, and they would work with other lots, rent a space or something like that. So many had bikes, and they have bike storage.
Gotcha.
Emily, this isn't related specifically to this piece, but it occurred to me of anyone who has an understanding of the number of police calls that might happen at a site such as this. Can you remember or recall what you typically had for police calls within a month?
I can't. I can definitely look into that. It was not a lot. I mean, I know that sounds, but it's just that with the support, the staff, everyone on site, there's so many layers of, there's so many layers where it would resolve itself before it was a police call or an emergency call. There's the neighbors themselves that become a community, and so they're kind of working things out among themselves. There's staff there 24 hours a day, or security, so it could come to them. If it's a reoccurring situation, the case manager and or the property manager would address it and kind of create some sort of plan. And so there were so many steps before it became a situation that we really didn't have a lot of calls.
So would you say it was less than, say, 10 a month?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and I can look into that and for the next reading.
I think as of now, they're receiving 20 to 25 calls a month to that facility.
I would say that's higher than we would anticipate.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any further questions for Emily? All right, thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
All right, was anyone else, this is a public hearing again, I would recognize anybody who would like to speak to this item at this point. Adam?
Adam Caduce, R&R Realty Group, 1080 Jordan Creek Parkway, West Des Moines. Emily did a nice job summarizing some updates since we were last in front of you, and I'll keep my comments brief and just share a brief update from our perspective as well. We did have a nice opportunity to meet with Emily and Ann and had a conversation about some of our concerns, and did share some of our concerns about this location, but also did discuss some standards of care that we feel like for the long term will help preserve the high quality that they're proposing that they're going to deliver at this development. We think it's important that the city have enforcement over some of these standards. We understand that we think we've got a strong understanding of the operation now, but buildings tend to outlast people there working there or programs, and we want to make sure that this is a success for the long term. So we think it's important that through not only just the PUD that's before you tonight, but also through a development agreement, that there's standards. Those standards we shared with Emily. They're from their materials that they've proposed is how they're going to operate it. And we put those in our letter, the most recent letter that's submitted to you tonight. There's a few of those standards that are included in the PUD in front of you this evening. And we're going to continue to be a part of the process and advocate that where appropriate, whether that's a development agreement or through a PUD, because there's certain places where they should go. We're going to continue to advocate for those standards, that they'll be included throughout this process and throughout the PUD, development agreement, land use as it goes through your process. So just wanted to share that update and appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Adam, I just wanted to thank you and R&R for really listening and providing your input throughout the process. I think that's really important, and it goes back to the mayor's civility statement and his great leadership that we can work through these things. And I'm just looking at your letter right now, and I'm hopeful between the PUD and a potential development agreement that your letter will probably be, the basis of. So I just wanted to thank you for really stepping up and making this a win-win for R&R and Greater Des Moines Supportive Housing.
Appreciate you saying that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Adam. Brian.
Excuse me. Good evening. Brian Muck with WR Berkeley Corporation, 11201 Douglas. You have to pardon me. I've been trying to lose my voice for a few days. We'll see how this goes. For the most part, we're going to have our previous written comments stand for our position. I would like to read a few additional comments into the record tonight, just for your consideration. We continue to be disappointed by the decisions made to date, both by planning and zoning and by this council. We do not oppose Greater Des Moines Supportive Housing and their mission at all. We do, however, continue to believe there are right and wrong locations where the outcome will be successful. The city's own experienced and professional staff recommended against this site for a number of well-researched and supported reasons. The Greater Des Moines Supportive Housing Group's own studies referenced in their application indicate the location's absent supporting amenities significantly impair opportunities for success. The amendment in front of you today does not move grocery stores or other life-serving amenities closer to the proposed site. The PUD changes likewise do not create a greater proximity to potential employers or public transportation, all of which are necessary for this location to be successful as a supportive housing operation. In past meetings, the council has discussed at length the need for supportive housing in the community and Urbandale's obligation to contribute to a solution as justifications for supporting the prior comp plan change. Similarly, using a justification based on if not here, then where, avoids completely the reality and debate of the suitability of the existing site. With respect to the amendment changes proposed here tonight, we would hope that the council employs a fair and thoughtful process on the merits of the proposal only, and not one that seeks to create an outcome by any means necessary. In your packet, you have letters of opposition from 100% of the immediately abutting property owners. And that's important, 100%. Now, as measured by the notice requirements required in the filings, this number is diluted when you consider rights-of-way that span the interstate and Douglas Avenue and pull in property owners that are not proximate to the subject property. However, again, the letters of opposition account for 100% of the property owners whose properties are immediately adjacent to this parcel and will be the ones affected to the greatest degree when problems occur. For Berkeley, we have been in Urbandale since 1971. That's 55 years. We have 450 employees currently on our campus. Our annual payroll is over $63 million, and we pay over $800,000 in taxes annually. For those of us that are likely to be most affected by this potential change, we would ask for some understanding of how our universal opposition is being considered and what part it plays in a fair and equal decision-making process by this council, whose charge it is to support all citizens and businesses in the city of Urbandale. Thank you very much for your time again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian. All right, we are in public hearing, Ed. Is there anyone else like to address the council on this item? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And there's one item for consideration. I had opened it up for any discussion and or motion at this point.
Move to approve council letter 8611.
Okay. Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Bodie.
Is there discussion?
Discussion at this point, yes. So we have a motion and a second on the agenda, so it's open for discussion. So Joe?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I have several thoughts. In terms of suitability, I would find that this use is not only similar to, but in some ways superior to the current use. And Councilmember Kroll, I think, made the point with Emily that there would likely be a lower police presence at this facility than the current facility. There would be supervision at this facility where there is none now. The current use is a residential use. And so I don't think that this, I think that property can be distinguished from surrounding properties for that reason. It is currently a residential use. It will continue to be a residential use. And I would find that it will be a safer and frankly a better use for that property than what is currently there. There's been a comment that this would perhaps not be approved elsewhere in any other multifamily residential zone. I would also find that not to be necessarily accurate. Our strategic plan and all of our planning around affordable housing, I think would lean us in the direction of approving this in any other multifamily residential zone if it were proposed and if there were another site that was suitable and readily available. I don't think there is any other site in Urbandale that is as suitable and readily available as this particular site. And so I think we have considered, I can speak for myself, I've considered the opposition, Berkeley's comments. I understand their concern. I think there's a lot of evidence in the record now that where this has been located previously, those types of concerns have not been borne out. And so, and I look at what our Planning and Zoning Commission had to say about it, and I just feel very comfortable that that we're doing the right thing here, even though obviously it's a difficult decision because there's a very valued member of the community that is in opposition to this. But I just don't see how I can say no to this, given the compelling need that we have in the community for it.
All right, thank you, Joe.
I think something that, like, I appreciate, Joe, your kind of commentary on that. And I think, too, just thinking generally about, like, location. I was looking back at some of the older notes that we had on the topic, and there were some conversations about, like, what is the walk distance to various places, and, like, proximity to grocery stores and employment and, things like that. I did some Google Mapsing. 11 minutes by bike to Hy-Vee, 11 minutes to the library by bike to the library. If you really want to stretch it, 19 minutes to the pantry by bike, 12 minutes to Aldi. If you got to go to Iowa Clinic, that's a 6-minute bike ride. Goodwill's a 6-minute bike ride. Premier Credit Union is a 6-minute bike ride if they want to open, like if folks there want to bank. Pickleball courts are 9 minutes away by bike. So I think and that kind of gets folks to the campus as well, just in the general vicinity here. So I think it is, like we talk about distance to different amenities, and this is just a short list, different amenities and job employment and things like that. I think there is something to say that there is some proximity to things in the community that could be used by people, either by this use or any other use that might be on the site.
Well, I'll just add, that was some great information that you shared, but the area will also be served by starting this fall before anything happens. If it were to happen by DART on demand, which will get them anywhere in the zone, but also will get them here to City Hall, where we have a park and ride, or just dropping them off at the bus stop, which they can easily get downtown or anywhere throughout the metro from the stop here at City Hall.
Any further discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second. With no further discussion, I'll ask for a vote. That passes. All right, and this is again the first reading of the ordinance, and there'll be 2 more readings of the ordinance after this. So I appreciate everybody's, again, participation in this and input on this, and recognize this is a very an issue with a lot of opinions on this. I appreciate everybody's input and doing it so in a manner that was, as Bridget said, civil and straightforward. So thank you, everybody, for your participation on this. So,
Bob, quick question on for the motion that came from planning and zoning. It excluded the child care use. Did we need to include that in a motion here to incorporate that continuing forward, or is that that already been incorporated?
yeah.
I was just going to say the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation was integrated into the draft ordinance, so there is no childcare use in the permitted uses.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. All right, moving on to planning and zoning items. First is item 8.1, and that's to consider the Biltmore West 2026 preliminary plat at 184th Street and Meredith Drive. Christy?
Very good, thank you. I'm gonna pop out here to our western boundary on 184th Street. Sorry, I thought I heard somebody exclaim something. This will be fairly familiar to you as well. Earlier this year, this 77-ish acres here at the northeast corner of Meredith Drive and 184th Street came to you with a rezoning from the Ag District to PUD. You'll recall the PUD master plan had kind of 4 areas laid out. There was a single family area. There was an area for possibly townhomes or multifamily. There was an area for townhomes or multifamily. There was commercial on the corner, but maybe with the potential for multifamily. So those 4 areas were in that PUD master plan with kind of their general layout of where those areas would be. There was quite a bit of conversation on street connections and single family to single family, or concerns with multifamily to single family. This is now the preliminary plat coming to you for your consideration. I'm starting with this aerial photo so that you can see a couple of things that'll look different when we go to the paper. The preliminary plat shows the total acreage, but for the most part, what's really the focus of the preliminary plat is the single family development. And you can see of those lots in the red lines, this is the proposed layout. There are 2 street connections to the existing Biltmore West development to the east, which are here at Hickory and at Sharon. And then there's a proposed street connection to the future Bentley Ridge development to the north. In addition, and you'll see it on the preliminary plat, the developer and Snyder as their agent have shown us where the street connections are to 184th Street, those general locations meeting the spacing requirement for full and right in, right out locations. So you can kind of see how that's laying out. Now I'm going to flip to the preliminary plat, and we're going to talk a little bit more detail on what they're proposing. The single-family part of the development, so approximately 28 acres were designated as single-family development, 65-foot wide lots, 30-foot front, 30-foot rear yard setbacks, 5-foot side yard setbacks. Essentially the same requirements for development that were in this section of adjacent Biltmore West. And in fact, you can see how the lighter line work on the right here, those are the lots in Biltmore West. So you can see really how they line up in a size for size comparison for that. So we're expecting a very similar product. Those 3 street connections I noted are shown here on your screen. The single family area includes a couple of things I want to note. The detention is located here at the north. There is approximately 4 acres of parkland here in the center. We'd been in conversations with the Parks Department before we got this far with the preliminary plat, like if parkland was included, you know, thinking about some parameters as they thought through their request. This development also includes a requirement for a trail connection. You can see that shaded in here, how it comes in between lots 19 and 20, winds around the edge of the detention basin, and then will connect into a future trail, once we build it, into the Bentley Ridge development. So we wanted this trail connection paved as part of their parkland dedication requirement. It helps with future buyers to know that the trail is there is an easement, and that's there are fewer surprises in the future. So we're getting that constructed. The piece in Bentley Ridge is larger and not as close to the houses, so it wasn't required to be built as part of their parkland dedication requirement. The development also shows a couple of other detention areas. One being Outlot Y here. Outlot Y will be mostly for the future larger parcels that you see, 86, 87, and 88. And then this parcel that's not an outlot, but it'll also be detention for really that commercial, the non-single family development. In the future, you will see site plans for these 3 large lots, 86, 87, and 88, when they're ready to develop those. So right now you're looking at the shapes of those areas, you're looking at the street connections, utility connections, but there is no proposal in front of you tonight for your consideration of will that be multifamily, or will it be townhomes, or will it be commercial, and what will it look like? This is just the general street layout, utility connections, and then we expect when this goes to plat, the final plat will be the single family easements throughout the site, but likely these will be even platted as outlots, so they'll come to you in the future. But even if there aren't, there will be site plans that come to you in the future. The project did go ahead as they're considering spacing of the access points. They have given preliminary indication on where the right-in, right-out location would be here along Meredith. They have provided the easements and setbacks that we'd expect to see for that 50-foot setback along our arterial streets for the landscape buffer as required when we have the residential development. And they've showed another full movement access here. They are not building those at this time. That'll come in the future, but they're thinking ahead onto what that would look like. Staff is recommending approval, subject to the comments and the conditions that you see in the staff report. You'll see the comments from other departments, Parks, Mid-Am, Water Utility, and then engineering and community development kind of wrap up the rest of those comments. The sanitary sewer service will be connected to both the east, down here lower at the site, and to the north. There was a new line that was installed that actually is kind of close to that trail connection there on the property to the north. Water will be extended as the plat develops in the project, and I've already pointed out the stormwater detention areas. Brent Culp is here from Snyder and Associates representing the project tonight. I'll take any questions you may have first, and then if I can't answer them, I'll have him come up and help me out.
Christy, I was just wondering if there's any access, if you could, I'm talking about the parkland in the middle. I mean, it looks like the north and west part of it are just open, but is there any access through, it's hard to tell from the south and east.
We did not put any connections between the residential lots that surround. Certainly, people who back up to the park can have a gate in their backyard and go through, but we did not designate any extra corridors like we did up here at 19 and 20, because really they just went to another sidewalk. So they didn't really go to like the next development over. It wasn't really a trail corridor like we're hoping to establish up here. I will note too, the development will install the sidewalk along the parkland. So each house is responsible for doing their sidewalk as they develop, but you'll see the sidewalk along the frontage, the north and west, grayed out, because that will be done sooner than later.
Who would be responsible for like snow removal on that? Would that be the HOA or?
On the parkland?
Yeah, or the city?
Us on the parkland, us, the city parks department. I think the homeowners are responsible when it's in the pedestrian easement between 19 and 20, but I can get that confirmation. When it's on an easement, there's different responsibilities versus on dedicated land and corridor.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
On the street construct, so like the streets that we see that are outlined right here, not the ones that are kind of penciled in as future, is the idea that all of this will be constructed before any of the housing gets started? Or is it?
Go ahead.
Yeah, or is it gonna be just like the stuff up north is gonna get built and then the stuff that's south is gonna just wait until another time?
I'm gonna have Brent come up and answer that question.
Honorable Mayor, members of City Council, Brent Culp with Snyder and Associates, 2727 Southwest Snyder Boulevard in Ankeny, Iowa, representing Biltmore West LLC. The way we've kind of phased this is at this point, yep, is, I'm not doing a very good job, but the first phase would be all of the single family. And the way we've set that up is that all the sanitary will go to the north for this single family. All of the stormwater will go to the north. So the thought would be that at the south end of, and I can't see what lot numbers those are, but the south end of the lots right there, I still can't see. It would be everything to the north. If the whole site gets graded, we're still working with the contractor to see, but we've tried to balance it that if you just do the single family to the north, that balances unto itself, and then everything to the south balances unto itself. Because there's a lot of capital expenditure to throw all that stuff and put it all in the single family until the other lots are marketed. And I mean, typically, you know, commercial, multifamily, I mean, it might take years and years and years before that actually turns over. So
Gotcha.
that's the thought right now.
Okay.
And, you know, and that would also include the two ponds down here to the south. That is the southerly basin or the southerly watershed. So that would not get constructed with the first phase. It would be the north one up by the single family. But as part of, you know, the negotiations with the P&Z and then I think the council with the PUD, and then as a concession to the neighbors, we've identified that as a pond, and that would be with water and a wet bottom pond. It's not a dry pond. So all three of those ponds are indicated as wet bottom ponds, detention basins.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions for Brent? All right, thanks, Brent.
Thank you.
With that, and then is there a motion?
Motion to approve Council Letter 8614.
Motion by Rosendahl.
Second.
Second by Cacciatore. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right. Thank you, Brent. Moving on to regular agenda items. First is item 9.1. That's to consider the banking services for Green State Credit Union. And to introduce this is our Finance Director, Nikki Lamb. Nikki?
Mayor, members of the council, this would normally be a questions-only item, but because I've been here 21 years and we have not had a banking RFP, thought that we would just spend a couple seconds talking through that. This initially, we've been with First American Bank since I was since I started. Prior to that, I know at some point in, what they were prior to that, not my knowledge, because it was before my time. However, they've been a great local partner for these 21 years that I have been part of that. They were bought out by Green State Credit Union in 2019, I believe. So that transition happened, and we've gone through the process. So as you all know, the city, Green State has built a new location on Merle Hay, stone's throw from Urbandale. However, it is in Des Moines. And then subsequently, the city has purchased that building as part of the downtown revitalization that's happening down there. So because they did move out of Des Moines, it doesn't preclude them from having business with us, but because it's been at least 21 years since we had gone out, we work with 16 different banks for all our investments. So we wanted just to make sure that everybody had a chance. It's worth looking at. We're not unhappy with Green State. Obviously, we're continuing to recommend their service, but we did want to go out and check the market just to see what else was out there. We enjoy a zero-fee model now, so we pay them nothing, and they pay us a whole lot of interest. We carry a pretty decent balance. We went through and scored all of the RFPs that came in. We had 8 banks respond, so it was a good response to that. Not all of them were able to offer a zero-fee platform. But we still went through and scored all of them, and then we went through and said, okay, well, it's hard to say who's got the best interest rate today. We took their average balance for the city's portfolio over the last 12 months and applied what they said the rate would be on our money market and our checking account, and took that as would we win or lose based on interest earnings, because at the end of the day, that's my job, is to make the most with our idle funds. So we still are recommending Green State. They came out on top. And even though they're in Des Moines, technically, we are going to work with them over the next year. They would like to install an ITM or an ATM. ITM is interactive. Don't ask me how that's different, I guess, but nonetheless, they want to be part of the downtown revitalization and have something there, so they would technically come back and be part of the Urbandale community. But we all know downtown is going to take a hot second to get that all worked out and where that might make sense to do it. So we're working through an agreement with them that will come to at a later time of what does that look like. And that kind of becomes Aaron DeYoung's baby in the economic development side of getting that put together and what does that look like. So I just wanted a chance to explain that, because that was initially, we've been talking about it at the audit committee level for 18 months, that we've known that this was probably coming. But it comes right to, because we didn't actually have to change anything in the investment policy, we decided to go ahead and do the full process, and we're still recommending staying with them.
Great.
But I'm happy to answer questions.
Well, I really appreciate that you went through all of this, and
I haven't got to talk to you guys forever.
I
so
know. So we figured that we still have a good home for our money. So I appreciate you taking the time to confirm that.
Is an ITM like a drive-through option, or what would that entail?
I'm not the expertise on that, but my understanding, the interactive one, it's still a parcel that could be walked up to or driven up to, depending upon where it's at.
Baker's in a box.
Yeah.
That's,
They
it's
sit in a
supposed to
remote
be a true,
location and they just
like, teller.
pop up on the screen and.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you actually interface instead of just push button, pull out cash, deposit cash, like it's truly interactive, but I have not seen one in person, so I am not an expert.
Yeah.
Did they give us any idea where they might put that?
They're open to suggestion. They said that they would love to be part of, because that was where their bank was for all of these years. But we don't know exactly where that makes sense based on the uses that are there. So that's going to become an Aaron problem, not a Nikki problem, to figure out where that makes sense.
Were the other 7 proposals submitted by financial institutions that have locations in Urbandale?
One did not, but the rest were all Urbandale, and we had 2 that chose not to submit because they had too many other public. The hard thing about public funds is, remember, when you have those operating funds, they have to collateralize all that with the state, because the state sinking fund under 12C covers all of governmental. So that's why I can carry $80 million at Green State Credit Union and it's still covered, because the state sinking fund requires collateralization so that public monies are never lost. So the FDIC, 250,000 rule doesn't apply for us. We're covered otherwise. So,
Interesting. Okay.
any other questions?
All right, thank you, Nikki. Is there a motion?
Move Resolution 179-2026.
Motion by Bodie,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. That takes us to the end of the regular agenda. We have our reports now. City manager report, David?
Yeah, just one thing real quickly. Neil Weiss, the Urbandale Water Utility General Manager, and I met this afternoon for about an hour with staff of Congressman Nunn's in Congressman Nunn's office in Des Moines, and that meeting went very well. We've, with their help, identified a few programs that where we may be able to pursue funding for the aquifer storage and recovery facility. So we will continue to work on that. We're going to get some meetings set up for the next few weeks and continue to work together as a team to try to bring home the bacon for that very expensive and very important project. That's all I have tonight.
David, you had indicated that the timeline of that was moving up, but I don't recall you saying anything else.
It is. It's the fall. I think we may have provided a written update on that, but if I didn't, we will.
Okay.
It exists on my computer.
Okay.
Whether it made it to your inbox or not, I can't promise.
I don't recall reading it.
But basically, there's going to be two bid cycles. The actual drilling cycle will be bid yet this year, so it is moving into this year, with the second part of the project being bid next year. So 9 months-ish on the drilling, and then a year plus would be my best guess on the second phase of the project. So this will be, a long-term project. So it is moving up from the original cycle into being bid later this year.
So there's 9 months of drilling?
They say 6 to 9. I would just say, based on my own professional experience, expect 9 to 12, but maybe this will be.
And when would
quick.
that start if we bid it in the fall?
I don't have that committed to memory, but I will resend or send for the very first time, depending on the circumstances, that information in
Okay.
terms of the timing. But it is moved up. It is an accelerated schedule based on a consultant's recommendation, and time is of the essence. And the bidding, we hope the bid environment, they hope, the Urbandale Water Utility, and I concur, hopes the bid environment will be favorable.
Great. Thank you for that update.
Can you remind me how deep that well is supposed to be?
I'll get that number.
Okay.
We talked about that today,
Yeah,
but my memory is not what it was
that's fair.
5 years ago.
No one understands better
It's
than I.
very deep.
Yeah.
It's extraordinarily deep.
That's why it takes 9 to 12
But I don't know
months.
that helps you.
Yeah.
We'll get you a number.
Well, I was telling somebody how deep I thought it was, and then I thought, oh man, that's really, really deep. So I kind of want to double check. So, all right.
All right, Blake?
Just have a Bravo meeting tomorrow. Still getting back up to speed, so thanks everybody for holding down the meeting last week. I'm looking forward to watching the recording so that I can fire questions out, but looking forward to it.
All right. Bridget, anything
Well,
happened at DART this week?
I will claim the balance of Blake's time and my own, because I have
And a few
a
others as
big list. So first of all, I want to also congratulate Mayor Bob on receiving the A. Arthur Davis Award. And if anyone is interested in attending the recognition event, which is next Thursday, the 24th, let me know, and I can work with the folks at the lead DSM.
24th is a Wednesday,
I think
believe.
it's Wednesday, yeah, Wednesday the
Yeah.
24th.
It's Wednesday?
Yeah,
Wednesday the
but I think
24th.
it's the
Well,
24th, but it's
I had
Wednesday.
it in my mind that it was Thursday, so thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, 4:30 to
Yes.
6:30.
So if anyone, regardless of your lead DSM status, would like to attend, you are more than welcome to attend in support and recognition of Mayor Bob. So please, I'm happy to help with that. And as most of you saw yesterday, I rode the bus downtown because Reimagine Dart has launched. We had a very successful launch. I also was able to participate in the bus stop sign bag removal on Saturday evening during the rain, which, I mean, they just had everything planned out to the minute, and we had staff there overnight. You know, if anything, I mean, it was like a Y2K situation, as if, you know, they flipped the switch and everything was going to work with the headers on the bus and the audio in the bus and everything. So just kudos to DART staff for the successful launch. And I just really think that Urbandale is in a winning situation. It's not a competition, I know, but I really think the residents of Urbandale are getting much better service with the increased frequency of the Route 4 along Douglas and 86th Street, and you're going to be able to, and they're calling that the crosstown route because it really does a loop through Des Moines, Urbandale, Windsor Heights, West Des Moines, probably skipping some community, but you can easily get downtown from right here, and I'm just excited to see it launch, and I'm very confident it's going to be successful. I was able to attend the Party in the Park on Friday night. It was a beautiful night for it, thanks to our Parks Department and the Police Department for another successful kickoff to the summer. I did realize that I do prefer dye in my cotton candy. They had some, one of the vendors was an organic, vegan, dye-free, gluten-free cotton candy. And I think the dye adds something to the cotton candy that you will enjoy. So it was good, but I did learn that. Another exciting thing that I think Amy and I and Curtis attended was, and you all have at your seats, is the kind of wrap-up event of Project Uplift, which Urbandale was a very proud partner in, and we were able to hear for the first time for me from the lead investigators from the University of Pennsylvania, and it was fascinating to listen to them and their take on the data from Iowa. And maybe Amy probably wants to add more about this, I don't know, but my takeaway was really, you know, the money helped people find, this is not a technical term, but the margin in their life to have more flexibility on with their family, with their mental health, allowed them to participate in their kids' activities, obviously helped them financially, but I think the real technical takeaway was the ability to create a sense of community, a sense of belonging, and like that breathing room in people's lives. And so encourage you to read through this. There's also, I'm sure it's on their website, about a 30-minute documentary that they put together talking about the project. So I'm looking forward to Project Uplift's continued existence as they move into the next study project, which we are participating in as well, which is the rental assistance program. And then massive congratulations to the Waukee Northwest Athletic Program. In the last couple of weeks since we've met, they've won state championships in boys tennis, co-ed tennis, boys soccer, and girls soccer. So many Urbandale residents, students on those teams. And also, I know Urbandale played really hard against them, and very proud of them. And I think we probably have students at Hoover from Des Moines, and also incredibly proud of their victory in the soccer tournament. So lots going on, and our students continue to amaze me.
Yep.
So that, I'm done.
All right, thank you, Bridget. Pat?
Definitely want to congratulate you, Mayor, for the A. Arthur Davis Leadership Award. I can't think of anyone more deserving. very excited about that. I wanted to mention Iconic Riverfest. I thought it was a big success last week, and we got really lucky on the weather. We were all in our cars going to our sites for that morning downpour, and then we were able to do a lot of invasive species removal, and I want to thank Amy for being there, and I really want to thank the staff. Our park staff is phenomenal. There was also an Icon bus tour last week, and I've left you a handout at your place about that. We toured the Scott Avenue Point and the Hubble Trailhead at Fleur Drive. The Scott Avenue thing is really under construction, and it's actually probably going to be largely completed by fall of this year, but the grand opening will be in spring. And similarly, the Hubble Fleur piece will probably be wrapping up in the fall of '27, but again, it'll be summer of '28 before there's a real grand opening. These are not cheap pieces, but they really have already started to generate some great interest, including right now there's people at Scott kind of hanging out whenever they can. So the things coming along, and I just wanted to share that with you. I really want to thank Bridget for her work on DART, and I'm going to take her suggestion and get my grandkids on the bus. Yeah, well, yeah. We're going to stop in Highland Park for ice cream. Party in the park was wonderful yet again. And then I do have one communications concern I want to express. I feel as though there's some great stuff that happens that, and sometimes not so great stuff, but either way it goes, sometimes I feel like the council needs a little bit more of a heads up than we're getting. We're hearing about some of these things on the neighbor thing or on Facebook, and we're not necessarily privy to what's happening. I can give you examples, but I'll probably save that for the strategic planning piece. But I just think it's really important to recognize that there's a whole lot of stuff that may not elevate to the level of the Urbandale Police Station, which has been wonderful on the communications front on that, but lesser things overall from a price tag standpoint or even from a length of timeline, but that we hear about and need to be able to address and speak to. So let's talk about it in strategic planning. But that's kind of a heads up that I have a communications concern that, and it's no slam of our staff, they're all wonderful, but we're finding out about things late compared to probably what we need, in my humble opinion. I'll share more on that later.
All right, thank you, Pat.
All right.
Amy?
While you all were in DC, I had the opportunity to go to the Douglas Avenue community meeting. Ironically, there was hardly anyone there, which I think is great.
I was there before you, though.
You were there before I was. You're and then I also got to watch Urbandale and Waukee Northwest play, which was an amazing game. And then just if anyone, this is an invitation. I am attempting to hit all of the Urbandale bike trails this summer. So if anyone would like to join me, let me know. I'm getting them hammered out. I've got.
You have a spare assist bike?
No, I do have a regular good old fashioned bike though, times multiples.
Well, when I get my e-trike, I will join you.
Awesome.
All right. Joe?
I will join in the congratulations to the mayor on the A. Arthur Davis Award. Arthur Davis was someone that I knew and very much looked up to, so I think it's an appropriate honor for our mayor. The DMDC trip I thought was productive. I feel like we can be cautiously optimistic now about the zip code legislation, cautiously. Hopefully that'll happen. I'll just say ditto on all the sportsing kudos. Been trying to get out to more ribbon cuttings and events as my schedule permits, and I was able to join the mayor at the Town Place Suites ribbon cutting for their grand reopening. Leadership Urbandale today, which several of us went to. Congratulations to the graduates of Leadership Urbandale. I think it's a great program. HSA board met June 10th. Lots of things going on. I won't bore you with all of it. A couple of things that I thought were interesting is they're looking at developing a program to train non-lawyers to provide legal services to tenants to keep people in rental units when they face eviction. There's a desperate need for that in the community. Legal aid can't possibly handle all of it. Also, the city of Des Moines is contributing $150,000 to HSA, and I felt like it was made fairly well known that there's going to be an expectation that other cities in the metro also make contributions, so stay tuned. I think there's going to be an ask of some kind and for our consideration. And I think that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Well, thank you, everybody. I do appreciate the comments on that. And I want to thank Pat and Bridget, and I don't know who else maybe had nominated me, but I thank them for nominating me. And I only follow in the footsteps of Pat, who's a previous award winner for that too. So, there's a lot of good people that have preceded me to get that award. So, but I appreciate everybody's comments on that tonight. So. With that, we stand adjourned. I don't have anything further. It was good for Leadership Urbandale too. It was a great class tonight. Great programs, or great presentations by the three groups. So, we stand adjourned right now, and we will re-adjourn